This is Annabelle Goberti, and you are listening to Lawfully Creative, my podcast to talk with professionals in the creative industries to hear their stories, what inspires their creation, what decisions change their careers, what relationships influence their work. Today's episode is brought to you by Crefovi, our London and Paris-based law firm focused on advising the creative industries. Subscribe to our podcast, Lawfully Creative, or catch up with our original shows on iTunes, Spotify, Deezer, Stitcher, YouTube, Anchor, and many more podcast aggregators and platforms. Please do leave a review and rating about our podcast to encourage others to discover our curated content. Thank you.
Hi, Annabelle.
Hi.
Hi. Can you see me?
You have grown your hair, I was saying.
No, this is short. I've had it down to here, first part of lockdown. And I went from being Paul Weller to Peter Stringfellow, so I had to cut it again, yeah.
Good for you. I've got some long hair myself, but I've just stepped out of my shower, so it's all wet, so that's why it's in a bun. So I discovered, because I never Googled you, to be honest. Sorry, It's not a lack of curiosity, but I used to, catch up with you from time to time, face to face. So I never had thinking of Googling you. But when you asked me, do you mind just sending me a list of questions that you would like to ask me? I Googled you. And so I came across this fantastic picture of you on a scooter, of course, because I know you love scooters. Wearing a very smart suit in the middle of, I don't know, is it Wyoming or something?
It's Monument Valley.
Monument. And it says, Malcolm Gaskin, advertising legend. Do you mind explaining what is the history of this picture? Because it looks really great.
Now, what that was for Direction magazine, which is like a sort of glossy colour picture thing for campaign sort of thing. And the photographer, who quite well known, he was tasked to take different advertising legends and take pictures of them and explain who they are, like John Egerton, Kate Stanners, and Graham Fink. And he's a bit of a surrealist. That was taken in Putney.
I thought, so this is a
my scooter, my clothes. He just dropped that in the background.
It looks awesome.
Because he knew then people would look at it. He was a fantastic guy, yeah.
And you look so serious on this picture. I mean, you really do look like a wise guy, actually.
Yeah. So anyway, it was a Oswald Bateng suit, so it was pretty good, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And so therefore, you say it was actually then published in this. Yeah,
it was for a big exhibition and some of the magazines. Yeah.
Okay. So I probably will actually take this picture later on for the little widget. Okay. Cool. So I also, when I Googled you, Malcolm, I also saw that there were a few articles about you in. Campaign Live and campaignlive.com. So is my understanding correct that this is like a trade magazine for the advertising?
Campaign is like the Financial Times for advertising people. Yeah, it's all about the business, all about the people. And like in America, I have a thing called Ad Age, and I'm trying to remember the French one. But each country has its own sort of magazine about what's going on. Britain had two magazines, Adweek and Campaign, and Campaign's digital now. And because there were weeklies, there's a lot of turnover, people getting fired, people getting hired, parties, new work. It's a lot. So it's actually treated like a business magazine, but also like a showbiz magazine. So it's pretty good.
Showbiz magazine. Wow. Okay.
And it was all sold in Soho, so it was next to all the showbiz mags and the Vogue and all that kind of stuff. So that's how it was.
Thank you for explaining what Campaign is. So sorry.
Unfortunately, it went digital about.
It's great.
4 years ago. It was a brilliant magazine.
Because you prefer to read it on as in the hard copy.
Prefer because I've got a few that I kept with where I was in, or I did over the years. But but nobody's got that anymore, have they?
No, and to be honest, especially with a COVID-19 crisis. But to be honest, I mean, to Google you, I'm glad that they also have an online site. So I quote from campaign. Malcolm Gaskin and John Kelly, top creatives preparing for O&M Ford's challenge.
Yeah. So
Malcolm Gaskin and John Kelly are optimistic about the job. And I think there's another one which says actually that you are a veteran creative pair. The two.
So
anyway.
we weren't a pair.
We
weren't a pair. In advertising, when you get to, as a creative person, when you get about 35 years old, you're more or less a veteran, yeah? really, you're a veteran at 35. And if you manage to get past 40, you're like a statesperson. And then nobody after 40.
But how do you explain that? Is it because there's such a high turnover rate?
High turnover, high burnout.
High burnout?
Because you're working 7 days a week.
Yeah, well,
as a well-known creative director said, if you don't come in on Saturday, don't bother coming on Sunday. Yeah. So you just work 7 days a week, usually be a creator from about 10 o'clock till about 8 o'clock at night, and then at least every other weekend you're working on a pitch or you're off on a shoot somewhere. You know.
I mean, yeah. For me, it's like business as usual, but okay.
But you guys are time by the hour, so hours means...
No, it's not true. I mean, yes, but when you have your own law firm, Malcolm, you also have to do all the, SEO at the weekend. You also have to work on your website at the weekend, redo the terms and conditions, because you can't do that during the week because you are actually doing some business development or, so, yeah.
Yeah, so it's a high burnout and very, everything's, you're pitching all the time. It's very... Even if you've got a long-term contract with a client, you never can trust they're going to move. When I started the business, I think clients would move every 3 years.
Oh, so they basically just give you some very short contracts so that you're always on edge.
By the time I finish, it's about 18 months. And now, I would say, in the new digital age, people don't really have contracts. They have a project contract.
Right.
Even from massive big companies like a car company. So John Kelly, who's a very well-known guy, originally from working in CDP, he was creative director and European director of Ford at Ogilvy and Mather. Another guy who was ex-BMP, Patrick Collister, was the UK creative director. And Ford was having trouble just cyclically because their cars were...
This is Ford UK, right?
This is Ford UK, but I was coming into Ford Europe and beyond, yeah?
Okay.
And they were going through a cyclical problem where the shapes of the cars were a bit tired, and they didn't have a full set of new ones. A bit like going from a Volkswagen Beetle to a Golf, yeah? You're in this sort of in-between business. And so people are starting to buy other people's cars, yeah? So a car company can't suddenly invent a whole new fleet of cars overnight because they just don't have the throughput. It's not like America where they change the car shape every 2 years.
Yeah.
In Europe, it was every 5-10 years, and you milk it and you stretch it and you rebadge it, but you don't change the platform for about 10 or so years. It was one of those ones, yeah. And unfortunately, the agency Ogilvy had moved from the centre of London, which was off on the Strand, and had moved to Canary Wharf.
Ogilvy and Mather.
Ogilvy and Mather, yes.
Ogilvy and Mather. Okay.
And they'd moved from there to there. And when they got to Canary Wharf, it was a desert, a windy, damp desert with hardly any high rise.
When was that? Was that in the early
80s, early 80s.
Right.
And all the people that were there, nobody wanted to work there because you never saw anybody. It was a terrible place. The only other people there were banker types, yeah?
Yeah, but at least it was cheap.
No. It was cheap for the company, the American company. The American company thought, great, it's got shiny buildings, but it just didn't it wasn't good for the zeitgeist for creative people to work in. Mm-hmm. And all the feeder stuff like research companies, a place where you record artists or edit stuff, wasn't so, and hadn't built the railway to Docklands yet. Hadn't built the tube, hadn't built the DLR.
Okay. Wow.
So even getting not only about 4 or 5 miles, it would take you 2 hours to get from there into Soho.
What, by bus or
by
did you
bus,
take your
taxi,
car?
whatever it is. Yeah, it was impossible. Yeah, and so in Soho, you may be working on 4 different clients, got a voiceover, casting, say a photographer, look at a model making, and just walk out the door. There they were. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you could do 4 things at once. There, it was like really bad. And for, as I said, advertising for creatives are very, and for other people, you can have, lose an account, you get fired. May not be your fault, but because you're out there, you couldn't meet anybody to get another job. And so he just walked down to the nearest pub, say, "Oh, I'm just thinking I'll have a job," and I'll turn up tomorrow and off you go. Yeah, it was like that. So it same happens to be.
So are you saying that this was not really great for you to be efficient at O&M?
No. For me to go there, it was I'd started a multinational agency and then a European one, and then I'd start my own company, which was mainly UK-based business, and start again into bigger European businesses.
Okay.
And when that company was sold, my company was started with about 14 other similar companies started at the same time. All people like me, my age, who were doing UK-style advertising rather than copying Americans or propaganda, formulaic stuff, doing all this stuff. It was a big red meat kind of people who were reinventing everything. It was like based in Saatchi, and after Saatchi after about 10 years has started buying every agency in America and France and stuff. I mean, well, it was so dynamic that everybody thought, well, we'll start our own. Everybody starts their own. But what happened? London got very, very expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And us as a company, even for instance, we started buying allied companies, which were through the line companies, events companies, joint ventures with media companies, all doing it in new different ways, as opposed to the slow way of doing things, which was all right with slow-moving clients. When you got faster and faster moving clients, you had to build these alliances very quickly, buy them. And unfortunately, London at the time, all the property, most of my friends' agencies, all Greenleaf's Trot or Widening, Rainy Cali Campbell, they'd go sort of almost bust or buy. They just couldn't buy property or get rid of the old property. It was like they were squeezed.
Are we talking about the real estate here to the offices?
Yeah, so they were, offices were, and certainly in Soho in that area, were the higher than in the city, and all these new agencies were like people with they're only funded by themselves.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
You could never go to the city and say, "Oh, I've got an idea for an ad agency. Give me £1 million," and just laugh at you, tell you to go back to your clubs. So it's all feeling, and it just became very, very difficult. Even people like I had a friend had a set of 10 or 12 recording studios for voiceovers, etc. Like a really top company called the Tape Gallery, and to build one room to do voiceovers, etc. It cost them £1 million. And he said as soon as they finished building it, it would be losing 50,000 a year just because it would, or more.
Gosh, this has changed so much. So are you saying that because, very much so, now it's like all the offices are empty in the centers of big cities and capitals. So are you saying that due to all these overheads and in particular this real estate?
Yeah, change it. It's good to squeeze. So I knew by that time, because I knew when it started advertising.
You prefer to move on to O&M?
No, one of the first guys I worked with, and funny enough, who I did the AIDS stuff with, David Thompson.
Yeah.
He said to me, when I first started, I'd been absolutely obsessed with advertising from the age of 12. That's what I wanted to do. And he said, "So what are you going to do?" On the first week, "So what are you going to do after advertising?" I said, "What do you mean?" "I've spent all my life trying to get in." "No, nobody you never last till 40.
He said that to you?
Yeah. And he was right. He was right. He was right, yeah. He was
so this was back in 98 that you moved to O&M. And
yeah. So basically what happened, they'd lost their luster in when they moved to Canary Wharf. Nobody wanted to work there. Couldn't get top creative directors who want to work there. and people who have all the hassle of doing that and big deal stuff, and the difficulty of doing, the physical difficulty of getting stuff done quickly was just impossible to do. So by that time I'd worked in places like TBWA, which is a European agency, and I'd worked on accounts that were being made around Europe, and I knew how New York worked. I'd worked in New York for a little bit on, like, launched Absolute Vodka there and things like that. So I knew how it all worked.
Veteran and a top creative. And
I was a veteran, even though I was about 35 or something. So I was a veteran then, you know.
Yeah.
So I knew I could make it work, and I knew I had enough people I could call on to make good work and get it made. If I said it's going to get made, it'll get made. Yeah.
Okay.
And I worked there for about a year and a half. And funny enough, the guy that hired me, so John Cully left and went off to start a different type of agency he wanted to do. That was based in Soho, not in.
Sorry, so was that before of your O&M experience, or was that?
So I just got to join him. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Then Patrick Costa, who was running the UK business, he eventually, and the guy got in to work with a guy called Leon Jean, from White Collins, Rutherford Scott. I've worked with him before on some projects.
Okay.
He's a top guy, and we would start working with him. More or less the first week he said, I'm going to go back to White Collins and do something else.
Your friend or you?
I mean, you in this Canary Wharf.
You said that?
Yeah, another person I'd worked with. No, he decided to leave. Yeah.
Oh gosh!
And I thought, well, I've been here a year and a bit. I'll be there in a bit. I'm going to be working on a big thing. I'll do sort things out. And there were some quite good people there, but they just had no direction and no discipline, and they were very disheartened people because it was like
in the middle of nowhere,
working in the middle of nowhere. So I knew some of them. Some of them had actually passed through my hands in other agencies, and I knew I can, out of a core of people, I can get some people to do really good work.
So, for example, what did you do for Ford? In relation to the experience at O&M, do you mind just mentioning one of the projects you did for Ford in order for them to get more, your more sexy product?
The first thing that we did was we did some for small cars like car kitting, and we tried to make more like a little car have a bit of sex appeal. Yeah.
Yeah.
The one
exactly.
we did as a likened it to sports car to a sort of Nike kind of trainer, the same shape. All that. Another one we did where handling. We shot on a big ice rink with silver curtains and made it very smooth for the smoother one. Yeah.
Okay.
For a little car to be sporty, that was attractive, and saying that was very good on surfaces. It was good. Yeah. So I took this soulless little nothing car and made it more of a performance car. So that was like on a product car. But I did a big. But
you actually, sorry, just on this note, if I may, Malcolm, that sometimes you are being referenced as a designer in the various campaigns.
Are
you a designer?
No. I'm a creative. My background was art direction.
Okay.
And then I became a creative director, so I can write and design and all that. I could do the whole lot. Yeah.
Because I remember you mentioned, and sorry, I'm just backtracking here, but when we chatted like a few years ago, I remember, did you not say to me that you were actually the first person to actually ever go to university and to study art? In my school, yeah. In your school, okay, I thought in your family.
And the advertising course I went to in Manchester was the first pure advertising course in the country.
Awesome.
And I finished that in 1973. In fact, I've just been to Manchester for a reunion of people that were on that course. And
1973, I wasn't born yet.
Yeah, and everybody that was in the course that did advertising, most people were very, very successful. Most came to London. Some went to America, etc.
Okay.
And they were all very, very successful.
Okay. Like you.
Because we're all very competitive, and we knew the new stuff. Yeah.
At the right time, in the right place.
It's like the Beatles discovering guitars. Yeah. 3 years before that, they'd be playing trumpets in a brass band and getting nowhere. As soon as electric guitar came out,
in Hanover, yeah. Okay, so you basically were successful.
So one thing I'd try to unify, we did a thing about new shape, new vision, and we took the whole product line of cars. There's about 12 different product cars, from small to large, paint them all silver, and it was supposed to be just a dealer promotion ad, yeah? In other words, this was a finance promotion, saying, so you get a brief or tell people you can buy a new Ford for 0% finance. And most people, once you got a brief, like, I'll just hand it to a junior or a has-been.
Okay.
Do me a little press ad like it, yeah? And I worked out that this was all happening all over Europe. So I took all that money, I could make a big, massive film, yeah, and make a big thing out of it, yeah? It's 0% finance. And what we did, we got a whole range of cars, about 12 cars, made them all silver, and shot this film about bringing these desirable cars to a whole range of people in the background from all over Europe, yeah? So we shot this film for £1.5 million. Yeah? So this is a dealer advert, which you normally see in a little local cinema or a crappy thing or a crappy thing.
That is a lot of money for one advertisement.
Yeah, so, and we set out to shoot it in the Nevada desert in America, in Lake George or something, Lake George somewhere, and we set off to do it. So we had all these 12 cars shipped, all these European cars shipped out to the States, and the idea was that with CGI, there's this big bow in the river. Cars are driving along the desert, which was going to be shot on Salt Lake Flats, and then they come to this bridge, and across the bridge there's all these different people gathering. So we had every multi-nation national person looking, children, adults, good-looking women, guys, sort of walking us through the flat, deserty whiteness, yeah? So it was all shot in black and white, yeah? Black, white and silver.
And was it successful
yeah, they're all approaching each other, but they'll come to this chasm. But then CGI will build this huge, shiny silver bridge, which had the shape, when you pulled back, there was a zero, like 0%. So the car you want, for the kind of people you are, with 0% from Ford, you'll be able to get what you want, yeah? It's all done in slow motion, beautifully shot like a Vogue ad, yeah? Which was totally unlike Ford. When we got there, unfortunately, the Salt Lake Flats flooded. So we shot one part of it with the canyon, etc. And we had to get a Russian gigantic jumbo jet to land in the desert nearby, put all the cars on and fly them to the Sahara Desert, Morocco.
Gosh, now I see where your £1 million budget went.
No, it started off a million a bit. It went up to about 2.5 million, yeah. And we had to build.
Then you got fired.
Roads in the deserts, all this kind of stuff. Recast all the people in Morocco, etc. Do the same, all the Armani suits, and then CGI all of them. But we had to do it in a month. That was the thing. I only had a month to do it because it was just a promotion. It was really successful. Really
was it?
Saved Ford, yeah. Because it made, instead of looking like this little company offering cheap deals to get a cheap car, it was like, this is the biggest car company in the world doing this big thing for everybody. Yeah.
Did it give a lot of business to Ford?
Yeah, they did very well out of it. Yeah, and it also gave heart to the people at Ford and the salespeople thinking, well, we can sell. That's a very simple idea, 0% on everything, best deal in town, whatever everybody says, and together all the cars actually had a bit of commonality, even though they weren't all common.
Yeah,
I'd make them all silver and drive it the same way and the same kind of stuff. They had that feel that they're.
I mean, to a degree, this is the same approach that Apple is taking. I mean, it's all, as you were saying, silver products. and you can get some 0% loans on that, so you can buy, and I make the most of that. I mean, not in France, but in the UK. So when I go to the Regent Street store and I need something, I'm sure I get a deal at 0%, and then I pay it off in 1 year, in 6 months.
Yeah.
It's cool. And Apple is definitely a luxury company, so well done.
But if you present them in a way that it still looks luxury,
exactly, yeah.
I used to work with Johnny Ive, who's Sir Johnny Ive, who designs all the Apple products.
I think he's back to the UK now. He just did a project with this twat of Prince Charles or something. Excuse my French.
When I used to work with him in the store, he'd be doing wine labels.
Wine labels with Johnny Ive.
Yeah, that's what he was, just a nondescript designer.
Probably in his pre-Apple era then.
Yeah, pre-Apple, and he was just doing nowhere, and all the big designers in the UK, in London, were only big because they had enough money to afford a design studio with benches and people and all that kind of stuff. And he couldn't work out how he'd ever afford. And then this job came up at Apple. He'd been working, did a bit of thing for Braun. Braun had a very good idea. You can design shavers, but we'll give you 10% of the time where you can design anything you want to use the studios and fulfill your quality as a designer on other projects. Yeah, so it's quite a good idea, I think, for any design company in the future, or architect company. Yeah, and at the time, Apple was sort of funny grey colour. This apple that looked like Ronald McDonald.
I remember. Yeah, I remember.
It looked like pallet toy.
It was not very cool.
It was a joke thing, and he knew that people wanted these computers, but he knew that these designery types would never have one of these crappy things because it just looked naff. Yeah.
I mean, Steve Jobs was not the most. I mean, he was never most best dressed man ever. I don't think he had a very good design sense himself. I mean, Johnny Ive did really ace the design of it.
So he just knew that if you made it all in silver or black or shiny, took all the knobbly bits off. That people would not just pay 10% more; they pay twice as much more, and that for them,
at least,
he knew there was a big enough market for the designers who will pay twice as much more for a similar product, and that became a badge of honor. So, for instance, if you go to Soho House or anything like that and walk through, nobody's got anything but that.
Sorry about the noise. I mean, indeed, it is a success story.
Just like Nike or Adidas, they were designed for people to play baseball and stuff like that.
No, but then it was taken over by the rappers. Did you see that great sneaker exhibition, Design Museum? I saw it twice. I loved it. So it was like all these rappers started buying Adidas in the US. It was awesome.
There's a status, No, but they're not doing high jumps or running marathons, are they? They're just selling drugs and making music,
Well, it depends, because then at the concerts they were saying, "So who is wearing your Adidas? Show me your Adidas!" And they were just like, it was crazy. It was, as you were saying, like a status thing. Everybody was wearing Adidas. I love that exhibition on sneakers at the Design Museum.
Yeah, awesome. Well, it's just like Red Star in Paris. The football club. Yeah.
No, sorry, what?
Red Star Paris. It's a football club.
Is it
third division? It's the coolest brand in the world. Everybody wants their shirt. They only make about.
What is Red Star Paris? Is that in Paris, in France?
It's a football club, yeah.
But where is it based?
It's in the north suburb of Paris. You just check them out, Red Star. They're uber cool, uber cool.
Red Star Paris, unbelievable. Well, thanks for letting me know. I had no idea.
So, but people in the know.
Okay.
Yeah, the people in the know, them and St. Pauli in Hamburg, the other one, yeah.
Interesting. I'll Google it later. So coming back to your career, as opposed to Johnny's career. So there was something also that I noticed. So thanks for explaining several projects you did for Ford. That was really helpful to understand what it is that you were doing in this career. I also found an article from The Guardian who refers you as a designer. As I was saying,
but they do that. Yeah, they do that. No, nobody knows what an art director is in advertising or what a copywriter is. You know, nobody knows.
Okay.
Nobody knows.
No worries.
In the UK, people work in pairs, and they cross over sometimes. Sometimes do the writing, sometimes do the art direction. When it gets to film or radio, who's the art director on the radio? You know, well.
So the pair is made of one art director, and the other is what?
A copywriter. That's used to be in the olden days when advertising was done by newspapers or magazines.
Okay, yeah.
There'd be an art department where people would have to draw the ads up or design them. There'd be a writing department who would write the words, etc.
So you call... Sorry.
So traditionally, in the past, the writers all went to public school and are all literary types, you know, because they can write. And all the art directors are sort of working class craftspeople who can assemble things. And the UK differed where they decided to put them together because like what would normally happen, a writer would write an idea for something, send it down the corridor, somebody would take it and turn it into something. We watch Mad Men, the early days of the Mad Men stuff, that's what happens. But the UK decided to put the two of them together.
Okay.
And they worked out that 1 and 1 equals 3. So you get you double your
creative. To work on advertising projects.
Yeah. So because you can a lot more cross pollination. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why the UK suddenly became very, very dynamic.
So who was your pair for yourself? Who was the other side?
The first person I met was a guy called John Patterson, who now lives in a wooden hut in his forest somewhere. He's all went green.
Whereabouts in Wales? You said.
In somewhere in Yorkshire. Another guy was Dominic Lynch Robinson, who's a lord now. He lives in Miami. His father used to be the chairman of Leah Burnett, with the first agency I worked at. Nice fella.
Very famous, Burnett.
Then David O'Connor Thompson, I worked with in Leah Burnett, and who eventually I got him into work on my age stuff in TPWA. David, he was the guy that said you'll never last more than 40 years. He was the guy that said you'll never last more than 40 years, but he was a very good writer. He lives in a hostel now, a homeless hostel now in East London. He was like a top guy, you know. Yeah, he couldn't cope with.
What do you mean? He was homeless hostel? He went bust? He went bankrupt?
He went bust. He went bankrupt. He lost his way because of that. And he's still a very good writer and decent person. Yeah, that's.
And he was one of a guy you paired up and was doing writing.
Yeah, he was doing very well. Yeah.
Gosh, it's giving me the goosebumps. And did you say in the homeless hostel? I ever heard.
Yeah. He left advertising and went to do a literature degree in Sussex, and then found out nobody will pay you to write literature. And he was like a top person, and
There might be a little bit of mental illness here, don't you think?
No. It just he's a public school boy without any money, and he was led to believe the world will always be wonderful, and then then it became very competitive, and a lot of people can't compete. Working class people like me know what it's like to be at the bottom, so we can cope with if you end up at the bottom, but people who have a charmed life can't do that.
Do you think this was the case? He went from a privileged background? He came from a privileged background?
Yeah. And a lot of people, my next right after that was Neil Patterson. He went to a school like Prince Charles went to.
Okay.
Top international fisherman, as well as a writer and author, and he's brilliant. He's done well. Yeah, there's a lot of funny people, a lot of up and down in the business. Yeah.
Right. Okay, so in this article from The Guardian, was I saying, they refer to you as a designer, and you are basically interviewed in there where you are saying that you were with your agency, TBWA, and that you're working on health campaigns for 5 years or so blood donations, rubella epidemics. So would you please explain to us how this project for the AIDS campaign came about, and how you contribute, like you worked on it with Norman Fowler, who was the health secretary back in 1981, 1987.
This is Norman Fowler's book
Okay.
about all that, yeah. So
he was an expert on AIDS, or?
No, funny enough, I invented the word AIDS. That's the first thing, yeah.
Come on. Really?
Yeah.
What does it stand for, by the way?
It was known as it's immune deficiency syndrome, autoimmune deficiency syndrome, yeah. Now, what it was that I'd worked on a lot of government accounts.
Okay.
My little small agency, but we were very, very creative. We were one of the best agencies in town for creative work.
TBWA.
Yeah, so small agency, and they have a lot of work with government, a lot of work in other
Wonderful.
companies. Like Sachi used to do all the army recruitment, and Ogilvy would do road safety and stuff out. And we got a lot of the healthcare. We were responsible with the people that worked there.
Mm-hmm.
And we worked on a lot of sensitive things, like apart from blood donation and the organ donation, but also kids dying. I used to go and record kids dying on microphones for a campaign to get people to take vaccinations for whooping cough, rubella.
For rubella. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're
kids dying on microphones? What do you mean? That you were actually recording them while they were firing?
Coughing to death, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so
I didn't know that this is what rubella. I mean, when you're not. So what they had, like pulmonary infections.
Yeah. Your throat restricts and you strangle yourself. Yeah, that's whooping cough. Yeah. It's a common childhood disease, but with proper immunisation, you overcome it.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. So we got the gig because we had the emergency account for emergency diseases, and this was starting to happen, yeah. And there's little rumours about town in the world. There's sort of funny disease turning up. We got one of the reasons, apart from the people that we'd be working with, the organisation that they were going to put together, start working at, we knew them all quite well because working across lots of different accounts. Also knew that we could do TV, we could do press, we could do brochures, that kind of. When we're capable of that, we also had a studio that were capable of doing that. But some of the work that we'd ever do would be sensitive, and if you have your own studio, you can keep that locked down. Whereas if you're a company like Sachi or Low Howard Spink, they're using lots of outside people, and whatever you're doing, that was sensitive information that would leak straight away. Yeah.
Okay.
So they knew we could do the work, and we're solid enough to keep it all quiet. Yeah. And and also because we're so based, I knew quite a lot of people. A lot of friends of mine died from AIDS, before it was all happening. So we knew what it was all about, yeah, and we knew the kind of people they're talking about, how was it transmitted, drug addicts.
Most of them were they gays, or were they
gays or drug addicts or whatever it is, but also knew the consequences and how all that happens, yeah.
Yeah.
So we got the good thing, and there was lots of. The first thing was what I decided, because it was at the time where nobody knew what's happening. Norman Fowler was seconded with the chief medical officer and some others, a woman called Baroness Trumpington, who was in the House of Lords, and she was the parliamentary link kind of person. Then they got together people like all the nursing unions, the medical people, the army, navy, prison officers, all these people together as a think tank to start working out what to do.
Wow.
And at the time, Margaret Thatcher was in charge. She was a very, very, not my favourite person, but she.
Yeah, I read that she wasn't very open to the idea of doing that campaign, which sounds.
So wasn't at all.
Okay.
Because any mention of transmission by sex or drugs, she thought that would attract more people. More people would suddenly get the idea.
Sounds like a big way of reasoning. I mean,
no, but that's just like it's just like from a sort of backward part of the country, yeah. So Norman Fowler and Baroness Trumping and all that, they went off to America to see what was going on. Some people went off to Africa to find out what's going on.
Well, I think what was going on is that in America, in the US in particular, the disease struck much earlier. I mean, earlier than the early 80s. I think the 70s it was around.
It struck a lot all the time, but they had evidence of it striking. Yeah, other people were dying of a cancer or pneumonia or whatever it was. It was just more evident there.
Yeah,
just like COVID, certain countries recognize it and report it and calculate and collate it. So it may not be they were the first. It was probably in Africa it started, but the people are just dying. People die every day in Africa. You know, who knows? Yeah, of strange disease. So
I thought actually that AIDS actually had started in America. You are saying that perhaps in Africa they had AIDS already.
Yeah. Yes. That was the eventual thing. That was an African disease, mainly from transmission of stuff, you know, and then spread through prostitution and bad habits, you know, with blood, etc. But at the time, there's lots of different countries start to report these things. Oh, people have got these kind of symptoms. Oh, we've got them in Gambia. Oh, we've got them in, you know, Switzerland. You know.
Okay.
And they all had localized names. Like in France, it was SIDA, SIDA. Some place in America.
Right.
Yeah. So okay, can you got me? She got it because her background was a scientific background. She was a chemist. She did chemistry.
The Baroness.
Yeah. No, Margaret Thatcher.
Oh, Thatcher, really?
So she went and did chemistry or something. So she had a scientific background. So she's not persuaded by anything that was about morals or human emotion. It was like scientific thing.
Okay.
So she went very much understood logic, you know.
Yeah.
So the first thing was like naming of it, etc. And I knew that it would be better to identify the disease, give it a name, give it a logo, which I did, like the AIDS one, and then you would be fighting the disease, not the people who have it or the people who transmit it. Yeah. So to detach it from people and people's habits and say it's the disease that's the enemy, not the people. Yeah, because that person eventually could be you or your kids or something. Yeah? That was the thing that she got. She understood that. What she got from even
based on scientific evidence, as you were saying.
Yeah. So it's not the people. This is the disease.
Okay.
This is like polio. It's not people. Polio.
Did you actually speak to her?
Yeah, in some of the big meetings. Yeah, I was not allowed to speak that much, but I'd be saying, "What do you think?" Well, I think that's what we'll do. Yeah.
Was she very directive during those meetings, or was she?
She had a job to be done, and the job that we did had good people with her.
Okay.
Things like when she was worried about, is it necessary to do campaigns about this? And the chief medical officer would say, well, we've got no antidotes and we don't know how it's working, it could be worse. And this was before they even found out that it could be transmitted through birth. You know, we carried on to birth, yeah?
Yeah.
So don't know about that. So that was the medical stuff. Then things like, well, it must be gay, it's time to pack it in. Baroness Trumping would explain how this male prostitute in San Francisco, that she met in the hospital there, who was such a bad prostitute, he's innocent being ripped up. And he had a colostomy bag and he was selling the hole in his stomach for sex. And thought, oh, well, we can't tell people like that not to do it. I didn't have to tell her that.
This Baroness said that during the meeting with Thatcher?
Margaret Thatcher. And then, well, you know.
I would have been Thatcher, I would have just basically fallen out of my chair if someone had told me that.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And then someone said about, well, just tell them to pack it in, we'll close all the gay clubs. And then some of the army people said, well, we do have it in the army and the navy. And the navy said, oh yes, especially the submarines. And it was like that. And then it was some people from business. Well, how do we insure people? And our insurance thing will all go wrong. We don't know how to get an insurance for.
Are you saying that at the time, the community of scientists had still not understood that you had to have protected sex through condoms?
Well, the only way to
protect yourself against AIDS.
Well, actually, there's two lots. The two big motives was unprotected sex, and who's having it. And that's a lot of prostitution, a lot of illicit sex, yeah. And you got to remember, a lot of parts of the world was no birth control. And a lot of parts of the world has institutional prostitution, like in the Far East and Africa, etc. Yeah? And things like the prostitution in Africa, where you can work down as a line down a motorway or a route.
Seriously?
India or Africa, all the lorry drivers, that's where all the how it would spread. Things like that. And in the UK, you can work out also in the UK, in certain parts of the world, like America, a lot of it was being transmitted by blood to blood from injecting drug users. Yeah.
For drug addicts, you mean?
Yeah. Well, drug addicts, just you sharing needles.
Yeah.
Or selling their bodies for drugs. Right.
Right.
All tricky stuff. And then eventually, fortunately,
there was a scandal in France where basically some of the some blood taken out for transfusion, had been infected by AIDS, and then it was spread out to some people who were sick because they needed blood. So that was a big scandal back in the.
Well, that scandal also was the same thing in the UK. And what had happened?
Okay.
We were working on blood donation, and they were always chipping away at the blood donation budget.
So they were not testing for the AIDS at the time.
Yeah. And the blood donation stuff in Britain used to be quite successful because at the time there was lots of big factories, shipyards, mines, car plants, etc., where if you give blood, you got a couple of hours off your shift to go and give blood. People would come at, so it's a very easy way to get.
I gave blood once in my life, and when I actually tried to stand up, I almost fainted. So I said, never ever again. I can't stand it.
So it's all done, but they ran down the service quite a lot in the UK, and they started importing the blood. They imported a lot of blood from America, and that was given. A lot of the people that were donating the blood were prisoners in the American penitentiaries, and
of course they were sick. I mean,
dodgy people selling their blood to pay for a fix. Yeah.
Oh my God!
And those were sent back to Europe, haemophiliacs, etc. Operations, so people were using that stuff, and that got out. Yeah.
Okay, so it was really like a moment of crisis when you actually.
Oh yeah, very.
So what were the key messages that you actually?
So the key thing, the first thing was give it a name. It's the disease, not the people.
Okay.
And admit to the general public you don't know what's going to happen. Yeah.
So it really no one had any idea.
Yeah, we
protect against it.
We don't know what's going on, but we recognise it's a monumental big thing. Yeah, that's why we did the big.
It's not very reassuring though for the public, is it?
No, it is for the public. At least saying, well, because all the newspapers, magazines, word of mouth were making things up, or it could be this, could be that. Should do this, should do that. Just like COVID, But the government.
Okay. We did the trial and testing method. Sorry.
Yeah, we start to speak as one voice, saying, no matter what people are saying, the only way that you can guarantee getting the correct information, whatever information we get, is by listening to government communication. Everything else is neither right nor wrong. So the only one is that. So make it as big as possible, make it to everyone, not just everyone. Every household in the country got a leaflet. Every poster in the country, when it was launched, was an AIDS poster. everything big on TV was that.
But so you at the moment, the government was not saying to people yet, you need to have protected sex with condom.
Not yet.
Not
it's
yet.
a big thing. After that, once you got their attention and said, our word is the true word, then you can start selling up, doing things like that. But certain things like we also did discreet campaigns to different types of drug addicts, like that would target them. Different kinds of.
Was there a big drug epidemics in the UK at the time, or?
There was a opening up of heroin being taken as an injectable drug.
Right.
As an aside, on the east coast of Britain, it was an injectable drug. On the west coast of Britain, it was a smoked drug. It was more Asian people that would smoke it and then inject it. East coast, funny enough, was trafficked by biker gangs. Yeah, so we had to
by what?
Motorcycle gangs.
Were traveling.
Bringing it up, taking it around and all that. They had very little supplies. So to make it go further, a smaller thing go further,
they would cut it.
Inject it. So if you look at train spotting, that was shot in Edinburgh and they're all injecting, yeah. In Glasgow, they'd all be smoking it. Glasgow and Manchester, they'd be smoking it. And you get these are epidemiological people.
Okay. So there was a bit of a drug epidemic going on as well, right?
Yeah, but also you try to get them from the injecting stuff to smoking it. So
right.
You tell the police.
Or even better, stop completely all drugs.
No, you can't do that. Yeah, there we realise you can't tell anybody not to do things. You just. But also at the same time, businesses were closing down. Hairdressers, jewellers, tattooists, dentists, all this kind of stuff was closed down.
Oh, really? So there was like some new. I mean, everybody was getting a bit neurotic.
Yeah. So we eventually did very nice this same kind of information that we started then about clean needles or
wear gloves
and all that stuff. We would do beautiful. Is that guy there, that top corner? That artist there, Christopher Brown. He was a gay artist, yeah. And he did all the leaflet designs for me. Beautiful pictures of different of your tattoos or dentists, etc. And on beautiful handmade paper, so you have them in your salon. So AIDS became these people are doing it properly, got some nice stuff to tell you rather than shouty, horrible stuff. So we tuned different messages to the different types of stuff for people to be receptive and actually act on them. Yeah. So you got to be really immersed into understanding the people and what motivates them and how will they receive messages. So a lot of the same messages, but handed over to people in a way that they accept them.
Right.
Yeah.
We found.
Plus we had to do lots of multi-language kind of stuff as well. Yeah.
In the UK.
Yeah.
Was the client, so Thatcher in this case, pleased with the results, or?
Yeah, because it worked. She the big film we did. Well, the CI is very good. They can get anybody to do anything. So I had Nicholas Rogue, who's a big Hollywood director, did. John Hurt, who's like a top Shakespearean actor. He just come out of Alien. He did the voiceover. So if you say, who do you want to film it? Oh, I want Nick Rogue, because he's wanted to have this sort of crazy sort of apocalypse now, moonscape kind of thing. Nick Rogue, he's the guy. John Hurt, he's the voice of God, Well, somebody that's doing the sound, we have the best in the world, yeah.
That was the ad you did?
That's one of the ads I did, yeah. That was the main ad for that. There was some other ads I did before that and then some ads after that. But you still use good people. But that stuff happened as an attention seeker. This exists. Tick. This one's about the disease, not the people. Tick. This affects different people in different ways. Tick.
Well, it's...
Then after that, all the big money would say, well, who needs the money behind it? Well, the drug addicts need more work, and it's best to do that below the line through person, peer group stuff, and all that.
Right.
Things like, as I said, tattoos. And you need some softer stuff, and then off to go. Yeah.
Wonderful. And sorry. So
and it worked. It worked.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. It worked. Yeah. Just to finish, actually, on these public campaigns set up by the government to make people aware. I never had a TV set. Okay, in my life, I was brought up without a TV set, and I used to go and see my pen friend in Hampstead, Cherry Freeman, who I bumped into back in. I think in 2009, 2008 in Bond Street, and she was thoroughly pissed off at me daring to speak to her. Anyway, so I used to, like, from the age of 12 years old onwards, I used to take, the ferry, like there was a bus and then the ferry, and then I used to go and see and come and meet Cherry here in. There in Hampstead, and then she would come to my parents' house in the suburbs of Paris. So it was fun. But then, so this was like more or less the first time that I was in contact with UK TV from the age of 12 years old onwards. When I went to see Cherry and her two sisters in Hampstead. And what I noticed from the outset watching UK TV is that the ads coming from the government were usually extremely punchy, be it about road safety, about
litter, coughs and sneezes spread disease, all that stuff. Yeah.
Right, and also being very careful with drugs and so why? My question was, well, frankly, in France, whenever I was going to my grandparents' house in the summers. French TV was extremely subdued. They never had this sort of punchy, slap in your face type of approach to basically really mark you so that you would remember the message. So why do you think the Brits were doing this with these public awareness campaigns?
Well, they've been doing it for hundreds of years. If you look at sort of pamphlets from 200, 300 years ago, about joining the army or plague or something. They've always been doing it. And that question, what I figured was that my experience working in Europe. Europe is very much a graphic kind of place, yeah, and they're very good.
When you say Europe, you mean continental Europe as opposed to the UK, right?
And they're very good at packaging things. So if you look at anything like the beer campaigns, like Bières de la Muse by Muka, like in Austria, turn of the century, lovely picture, gives you the whole story, but it's just a picture, yeah.
Yeah.
Or even like a Dubonnet poster, painted on the side of the wall in Provence, yeah. So the picture's nice. It gets the idea. So
they have some good art directors.
But also it was more like window dressing. We present our product like this. If you're that kind of person.
Yeah.
UK also had a fantastic history from 1720, like the beginning of Daniel Defoe, who wrote Robinson Crusoe, today, of like social, realistic writing about life in general, yeah. But also from that period onwards, they had a very strong. This is what I've been deducing. Body of work for cartoons, proper cartoons, not just people drawn with funny noses, but with captions.
Okay.
Like Hogarth and Gilray and people like that. They would mix pictures with slogans or captions, messages. Yeah.
I remember Hogarth did one on Jean. How Jean can affect families and people and pregnant women.
It's a big exhibition in London about that at the moment.
Yeah, the Tate,
and what was being done in Europe as well. So
yes, okay, I agree with you, but somehow it's always more striking when you see the UK output. Because it's like, wow, in your face, they just like go for it.
Yeah, so they'll take a picture, add a caption or a caption. So it was a double whammy. You put two things together. and
so you're saying it's a more realistic approach to life compared to to Europe, where it's a bit more rosy and.
European was seduction rather than attack. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Proposition. Yeah. America, it's all proposition and no seduction. Yeah. And
in America. Yeah. In America, it's like overloading. I mean, I listen to quite a lot of YouTube videos, to learn stuff about different subjects. Every time it's an American speaker, you have at the minimum 5 or 6 ads in a YouTube video of 15 minutes. It is unbearable. They just don't know when to stop, the Americans.
They lecture. They can't paraphrase. They can't make it succinct.
No, but they really put some ads as well in their own content. It's unbearable. So what you were saying, okay, so the UK would be more the message as well as really impactful.
That's right. Right. So even it might have something quite bland, but the message, the words might be very strong. Yeah.
Yeah. Or witty,
or they'll use humor as well. Yeah. Or the picture's strong and it's a caption. So one's a headline with a picture. Another one's a picture with a caption, yeah. In Europe, it's pictures. America, it's just propositions. Yeah.
It's Europe. In Europe, that's true. It's pictures, and as you were saying, it's more like a feel, and also trying to an essence, a feel, and also trying to basically make the viewer feel good. While in the UK, they don't give a toss whether you feel good or not after seeing the ad. They just want you to be marked by it. So I was like, wow, this is a different approach here.
But I'll also tackle subjects which are serious subjects with humour. So which most people thought, this is too serious to have everybody laughing. But they would do that for litter or road safety and stuff like that. Quite easy.
What, in the UK?
Yeah. If that works, that's what works. But
I've noticed the Brits are extremely sensitive to humour, and me too. So that's a good fit.
So that's my deduction. When I saw that question, I thought, why is that? No, that's what I think it is.
This is really something that struck me when I came to the UK and when I was really young.
But also, it's not just that Brits are good at everything. One thing that the Brits got from Europe was we had a very good literature tradition and newspaper. So they had a global newspaper thing for a long, long time. Even though Le Monde is called Le Monde, it's not only read in France, sort of.
That's nice.
Whereas the Times was read everywhere, everywhere in the world.
Of course.
So if you imagine Soho's next to Fleet Street, so you had people who were used to talk to the whole world, and they were working cheek by jowl in each other's pockets all the time for hundreds of years. So,
they were doing what? Sorry?
They're working next door to each other.
Oh, right, yes.
And with each other for hundreds and hundreds of years.
Yeah, and feeding themselves ideas and bouncing back ideas.
So they used to think of a big concept around the world all the time. So they're very good at handling big subjects.
Yeah.
And come in lots of different ways,
Thanks for your input and analysis on this.
But what European advertising and some humour got, certainly your English advertising, what we got from, say, Europe was the sort of 20th century movements like Dadaism, something a bit weird. People
take
surrealism, like Magritte, etc. Oh, that's kind of weird. We'll use that for a cigarette ad, yeah, or so Bauhaus style, sort of unity. We'll use that kind of thing to make propaganda points as opposed to just a picture, yeah.
So the various art and architectural and design movements which were coming from continental,
which we took and thought we'll use that how to send messages, yeah.
Okay, and we worked it the UK way. That's interesting. Yeah. Very interesting. Thanks. I mean, when I say it's interesting, it's what I mean is that. I didn't know that. I didn't know actually that the UK also got influenced by all these movements.
Possibly.
So, thank you. Coming back to something a bit more cheerful after this quite tough stuff about the AIDS campaign. So, if I remember well, you were born in the north of England, right?
Yeah. No, I was born in Belgium. Actually, I was there for 2 years.
Where?
Leuven in Belgium.
In Belgium? How come? Like your mum was there?
My mother and father. My father was an aero engineer,
Yeah.
working for Rolls Royce, and he met my mother in England, and he moved around England. My brother was born in one part of the country, my sister in another, and I was born in Belgium. As he
Oh, you're
moved,
the youngest of the three?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
As he moved around to do it.
Okay.
Three was too young. His assignments after that were not in Europe. They were in Peru, India, Papua New Guinea, all the other places. So my mother moved back to where she came from originally in the northeast. Very poor place, super poor place. Yeah.
So what's it called? The place in the northeast?
Blythe in
Blythe.
Northumberland.
Okay, in Northumberland. Okay.
Yeah. Just.
So do you have a Belgian? Do you have a Belgian passport as well?
I had one till I was 17,
Okay.
and I know that because I was called up for the Belgian army. And it was all in Flemish. So I had to go to somewhere in Newcastle. Somebody to translate and said, "You've got a month to turn up to Belgium to be a soldier." And
they wanted to draft you. Gosh.
No. But the funny thing was,
and I mean, they wanted you to do the military service for sure.
Yeah. Funny thing is, I was in the actual Army Cadets anyway, the English Army Cadets.
Yeah, but at least you were living there.
But so I thought, well, I'd rather be in an English army. Let's put it that way. Yeah?
I mean.
The Belgian were just fighting it out in Congo at the time as well. Yeah.
Oh gosh, you could have been all right. Okay,
yeah.
Could have been sent over there.
I tried to make up my mind whether to join. Obviously, I can't speak French or Flemish, so I just nationalised the UK.
Okay. And so you relinquished the Belgian citizenship, and you okay, right. I'm actually, I have lots of things on my plate, but one of the things I think I may have to do in the future is to actually also, of course, keep my French citizenship, but also take the UK one.
Yeah.
You know.
I think you'll find that I've got a lot of friends that have done that.
Yeah.
And vice versa. And
annoying. There are some stupid tests to do and stuff, so it's time consuming.
Yeah, I know people, a lot of people around here have done that. And but I've got friends who have had to leave France who've been there for 30 years because it's so complicated to live in France Provence, like.
What do you mean, like because of Brexit?
To naturalise, to become.
Oh, French. Right, yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's really, really difficult. They're about to.
But I can tell you that the Home Office is not very easy as well at the moment.
Yeah. Anyway, so I know from both sides. Yeah.
So you were in Blythe from age 2 up until around what age? 18. Okay, and then you moved. You said to Manchester.
Manchester Art College, 4 years.
And you did this fantastic, completely brand new course, which was in marketing.
Yeah, advertising.
For 4 years.
Yeah, in art college in Britain, it's a 4-year course. Any art college, you do a foundation. You do a foundation course where you do all different things:
That's awesome.
Illustration, printing, photography, model making, and then you specialise in a discipline, whether it's textiles, cinematography, graphics. Graphics is the area I went into, and they had a course for advertising there as well.
Bachelor's degrees in France are also 4 years, as opposed to 3 in the UK. And how come?
And it wasn't the university; it was a polytechnic, like the French ones, where you actually have industry contacts. Yeah.
Well, wow, awesome. And so, how do you explain that you were the only kid from probably hundreds from your school who actually went to university? How do you explain that?
Because it's probably the poorest area.
But what I mean is, why you? How did it come about for you? Was it
I think my brother went to university. My sister went. Yeah, but my year I was the only one in my school who went in the young school that went to, and I think it's because my mother had actually moved away from the place and moved to different parts of the country, and then she went to a place like Belgium. She knew there's a different world out there. Yeah?
Okay, so she was very keen on you.
She went to grammar school till she was 14. She had to leave school at 14 because her father, who was working in a mine, he got killed. And
he was working where?
In a mine, coal mine.
In a mine.
he got killed, which happens quite often.
God.
And
In the mine?
The house that they lived in was a mining house. And the family had 2 weeks to leave the house. But not only you leave the house, you leave behind you free coal, which would heat the house and were you able to cook on, yeah. So they had to leave the house, spend temporary accommodation in other people's houses, and then the
2
kids
weeks.
took the kids, the parents without jobs and all that, no husband, a few other kids. She was sent off to Yorkshire first, and then to, I think, another part of the country to be lodged with other people to get jobs.
Oh, so she was separated from her mum and the brothers.
Yeah, but all the other kids did that, and the mother was sent to London as eventually to London. It was this what happened. It was Dickensian. This is only the 1950s. It was unbelievable. Yeah.
That was a pretty forceful hand. And who made all these decisions on behalf of your mum and the family? Was that the social services? Was that
the social service didn't really exist like that?
Okay, it was just like a matter of survival, and it had to be done that way, so everybody could have something to eat. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so but she was keen on the three of you getting a higher education.
Yeah, because she wanted it when she was a kid, wanted to be a higher educated person.
Yeah.
And she didn't have that chance. So she was my father. After that, and I saw my father not that many times, yeah, because he'd be away for 3 years at a time, all the time. And as I say, I never had a Christmas with him, never had a birthday, never went on holiday, ever. Had one holiday in my life when I was a kid, and that's how it was. But I wasn't the only kid like that in the area. There's loads of people like that,
yeah.
My father also had another couple of families elsewhere.
I remember you mentioned that. Gosh,
and that's how it was. Yeah.
Was that tough for you when you learned that? Or you had already figured it out?
I didn't know the circumstances, but I didn't look at my family. My sister was very bitter about all that. My brother and myself wasn't. My sister always felt abandoned. We just knew he was working in the Amazon, or he's in Papua New Guinea and all that, you know. So he came back when he was older to die, but that's how it was.
That, yeah. And so your sister and yourself, you actually moved to London, but I remember your brother stayed behind, right?
Yeah. My sister only came for 1 year to do a teaching degree.
Okay.
And then from our art college thing, then she went to Sheffield. She met a guy, and then moved to Sheffield and became art college teachers there.
Oh, so she's there now. Okay. So you are the only one who actually came to the capital. I mean, to London. And,
yeah.
And to.
But you know, but it was always a very well connected London and Newcastle. Because the coal industry there was a reciprocal thing, so it was quite connected. Yeah.
Good. And so you said that from the age of 12 years old onwards, you wanted to work in the advertising business. Why is that? How did you get that calling? Do you remember?
I lived the town I lived in was filthy dirty. It was just terrace houses.
Blythe.
It was mining, shipbuilding, ironworks, gas works. It was filthy dirty. Lots of stuff going on, yeah. And some of the small towns and villages around were either one or the other. So one would be a mining town, another one would be a shipyard town, or one would be a fishing town, yeah. Blythe had a bit of everything. So when you get into about younger age, when you go to the big school, they'd say to you, well, if you were in a mining town, that's it, you're going to be in a mine, yeah. But they'd say, well, you know, when you understand what you're going to do, just tell one of your uncles what you want to do. You know, do you want to be a miner, or do you want to be a shipyard person? Yeah. And
was there two options?
that was sort of, or join the army or something like that. And where we played, there was no grass, no trees, no nothing. Bottom of the mine at the top of the road, railway yards, docks, big wall at the bottom of the road where they're building ships are built. And in front of the big wall at the bottom of the road was a billboard, you know, like a poster site made out of wood.
Yeah.
And that was our recreational playground. We used to go and climb on the back of it, look over the walls, and that's where we played. And the whole place was just covered in soots and dirt and noise. But once every month, people would come and put up these posters, clean posters on the wall, and it'd be for washing powders or whiskey or cigarettes or something really aspirational. And these guys would put up these posters as we watched. And when I was 12, I said to my mother, because I knew I was artistic, my skill was arty kind of things.
Okay.
And I said to my mother, yeah, I know what I want to do now, for a job after this job. So, all right, okay, what do you want to do? Is it a mine or is it the shipyard? Which one's it going to be? I said, no, not the mine or the shipyard. The posters at the bottom of the road. I said, that's what I want to do. And my mother looked really disappointed. I said, what do you mean you want to do the poster? She looked really disappointed. I said, well, she said, I don't think you can do that. I said, why not, Mum? She said, we don't know anybody with a ladder. Like a ladder. And I said, no, Mum, not put them up, think them up.
That's why she was disappointed. Because she thought you wanted to actually go and place them there.
Yeah. And by that time, I'd worked out these images were coming from somewhere where life's better. And there's somebody not only printing them, there's somebody actually imagining these things and making them there. And everybody looks at them and admires them. And that's this whole world out there, yeah. And that's what I want to do. And then I worked out, still being, because it's a poor place, that there was such a thing as a commercial artist. There's artists who paint pictures, but there's commercial artists who do picture-y stuff for money, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought, commercial artists.
Was she relieved, your mum, when you explained that you didn't want to be actually the guy who was placing the ads on the ladder, but you actually wanted to make the ads? But
eventually worked out. Worked out. There must be people like that. And then
okay. And then she came around. Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? It's funny because I also.
But my aunts.
Yeah.
My aunt. I'll just say this. Even though I went to art college and I was successfully back in London making big deal commercials and stuff.
That was your mother's sister?
For my family, it's a very working class socialist place, yeah. And this was the 70s, 60s, 70s. Margaret Thatcher just closed all the mines and stuff then. And I was at the funeral with one of my elderly aunts.
Okay.
And at the time, I had a big advertising campaign which I created in London, but was running in the northeast for a northeast beer called McEwen's Best Scotch. It was all about returning Geordies, people like me, travelling from all around the world, go back for this particular beer. And it was a very famous campaign, and everybody liked it. The football crowds would shout, sing it, all that kind of stuff.
Ah,
you must have been proud. My auntie was very indifferent to me, I would say. And she said, oh, I hear you're doing well, you're in London doing all that, and you're doing the one with the beer with the guy does this and that. I said, oh, yeah, that's me, I did that. She said, advertise. And I said, yes. I said, and she said, I always knew you'd turn out rotten.
You turn out what?
Rotten, bad.
Oh, because you were making money?
I was making advertising, yeah. And advertising was like the devil.
Was it?
Yeah. That was seen as really bad thing.
It's interesting that you actually saw it as the way out, but not for 99% of the rest of your.
Yeah.
On this note, actually, I also decided to become I've made the choice of my career when I was 12 as well. I don't know why, but I decided that at that age I wanted to become a lawyer.
Yeah.
So. Although there were no lawyers in my family, that's when I decided. So last question, but not last.
Question. The last thing that we watched really well to explain how the law works in France. I mean, this is litigation law. Was watching Spiral. Spiral.
What is this? Spiral.
It was a big series about legal people in the police in Paris.
Is that a French series?
Yeah.
I still don't have a TV set, so.
Okay.
Okay, I'll Google it. Thank you.
Spiral. Yeah.
Spiral. Although I've been in this business for 20 years, but thanks. I'll Google it nonetheless.
Yeah.
So as I was saying, last but not least, with all your expertise and you having worked for such a long time in this advertising industry, what direction do you think the business is taking at the moment, especially with the digital world slowly replacing most other types of media, in particular TV, radio?
Well, I think what's happening is that advertising's disappeared now. It's just not doesn't count.
Okay.
John Egerton just did an article somewhere recently and said it's lost its swagger because it's not important. It's not important anymore. It's just stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think all this digital world is about.
Well, I'm sorry, but I don't think this message has actually. I don't think the penny has dropped in the US. I mean, I never ever watch the TV in the US because if you are watching a film, you are going to be bombarded with advertising.
No. But what I mean, good advertising is dead.
Good at the time. Okay, like relevant and smart and witty.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough.
That's all. The stuff is still going to happen.
Okay.
And it'll
drunk, as in drunk.
Yeah, it'll happen in the digital world.
Okay.
And it'll find out where you are and inhabit your space and just try to be, advocate for their product or service, and just find out where you are, because you got a map of what you're watching and what you're doing and all that. And it'll just
what you like as well, I suppose.
Yeah. So all that kind of stuff. And some of the stuff you like, some you don't, and the stuff that's sort of half interesting, that's amusing, like that, or people who are just doing like TikTok ads, where they just do something silly, and then it's sponsored by a sponsor. It's like sponsorship as opposed to propaganda. It's no propaganda anymore. So there's no place for creative advertising. There's some place for creative people to make new creative products and goods and services. That's what I tell everybody: is think of something that you like, do it, and you'll have the skills to make it happen. Yeah, because now very ordinary people can make something that can happen and will be able to be made or done or served or used. Yeah, unless you need a lot of money, but there's ways to do that as well.
Okay. In a way which is quite cheap and still quite efficient. And
you can do that, or you can build it up, But I always say to people, when you do start a new goods or service or a product, ask yourself, do you want to do this for the rest of your life? If you're based on, I want to do things with sheep's milk, that's my whole life will keep it small, because we make it big, people come and take that from you. Just do it for yourself.
Yeah.
Or whatever you do, whether it's a new packaging system or an app or something like that, you may think you're going to be Elon Musk, but in fact, Elon Musk will come to you and say, I want to buy that, because it's cheaper for him to just buy it off you and get the idea behind that and get rid of the opposition. So right from the get-go, so you have to be a serial thinker up there, because you'll think of something up. What price will you bow out? Take it, because these guys have got more money than you'll ever have. They've got the money already. And so you're just their R&D department. You may think it's your idea, your world, but in fact you're the R&D department for the super rich. If you know what I mean, yeah. And if they like it, they'll take it.
Okay, so summarize.
But with that kind of designy advertising stuff, if you know that, you can actually use that to your advantage. Make something famous quickly, and you'll get people's attention. They'll come and buy it, and you can make some money out of it.
And move on to the next thing, right? Yeah. Okay, so that's much more short-termism than before, then, I suppose.
Well, I know. Well, it's just like us in advertising. Work on a campaign for 2 years, and then you go on to the next one. It's just. Yeah. We had that great ability to work on insurance and beauty, and then cars and beers.
Yeah, agile.
Travel.
Yeah. This is what I like. This is what I like about having your law firm, and managing a business like this, is that you can get clients on different type of industries and topics all the time. And that, well, I mean, when there's not a recession, obviously, like at the moment, but then it's great because then you move on to the next client or the next project. I like this sort of. And
you learn the peculiarities of that thing, and that sometimes works. And somewhere else,
but then you never get bored because you're always learning new stuff. So that's what I like.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you so much for being so generous with your information, your time, your ideas, your and stuff about your trajectory in the advertising world. It was great to hear all about you. So thank you, Malcolm. Cool. Thanks.
Okay. Thanks, Annabelle. Hope to see you on this side of the.
Absolutely. Back in terra firma whenever I can because I'm dying to go back to London.
Yeah.
Bye, Malcolm. Bye again. Bye.
Bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you for listening to our podcast Lawfully Creative, produced by Preferred Studios. Subscribe to our podcast or catch up with our original shows on iTunes, Spotify, Deezer, Stitcher, YouTube, Anchor, and many more podcast aggregators and platforms. Please leave a review and rating about our podcast to encourage others to discover our created content. Thank you.